As you can see, the soil here in the South Peace.
Well, it's definitely that time of year again. Once the new billing kicks in come January, though, that same family of four can expect to pay a little bit more. If you do drive at nighttime, however. So come with me as I check out the rodeo. Welcome to this week's edition of Pet of the Week. I'm joined once again by Sam Davey. Although there were no injuries reported, Stanger says that the man driving this truck was all that remained after fire engulfed this mobile home last Wednesday. Jordy Acko is enrolled in the cook training program. 'Tis the season to pay extra attention when sending packages through the mail. Due to high volume. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. I'm Lyndee Free. Our top story tonight, a local citizens action group. Fort St. John RCMP are continuing their investigation into the grow-op. As a look at your full weather forecast. Thank you, Kathy. And yes, this week will be a cold one. And now taking a look at our 5-day forecast. Thank you, Federico. And yes, I am loving this beautiful snowfall. Thanks, Peter. Well, across Egypt, people are celebrating in the streets. Mubarak has stepped down as president, ending decades in power. The move comes after weeks of huge protests in Egypt demanding political change. David Coleman has more from Cairo on the historic day. For most of British Columbia, the population to physician ratio is around 500 to 1. Here in northern BC, that ratio skyrockets to 2 or even 3,000 to 1. Not only is this affecting patients, but doctors as well.
Well, the real issue around shortage of doctors is that the doctors that are here who have made commitments to staying get burned out easily.
In some cases, this has caused extreme burnout among doctors.
We have had our instances where doctors have left, or in Dr. McKinley's case, had committed suicide. But a lot of that is perhaps related to burnout.
This leaves patients like Chantal Lavoie feeling the effects.
I'm expecting, and this is our third baby, so unfortunately they don't deliver babies in Tumbler Ridge or in Chetwynd, so we have to travel from Tumbler to Dawson once every 2 weeks, and now we're out here for good, waiting to deliver.
Lavoie says the inconvenience and related travel costs are straining.
It's about for our truck. It's about $80 round trip each time we come every 2 weeks, and then your accommodations right now are being covered, but the food for being out here and stuff like that. A hotel room's probably about $160 a night. So it's if you're out here for 2 weeks, it's an expense for sure, and it's an inconvenience for me right now because I've got a 12-year-old and a 20-month-old at home in Tumbler missing moms.
Fortunately, the shortage has been recognized by the provincial government. As a result, incentive programs have been put in place as an attempt to entice additional doctors to the region.
There's lots of incentives for doctors to come to northern BC. The government has put a number of programs into place with the support of the BC Medical Association. Northern Health has a very active recruitment program, but it's a lot of young doctors don't have a desire to come, and that's why it's important for us to train young doctors.
Young doctors like Dr. Malik, who are required to complete a 2-year residency.
I thought it was a great opportunity. When you practice and train in a rural area, you get a wide variety of experience, multiple opportunities. I find a lot of support as a resident here as well, and I think that would continue if I'd stayed, so it's encouraging.
Northern Canada will always be struggling to maintain adequate healthcare services in its communities, but we are working at it.
Lyndee Free, CJDC TV News, Dawson Creek. It is no coincidence that National Driving Week takes place this time of year, as road conditions are usually wet and slippery. Clayton LaRue witnesses driving mistakes on a daily basis as a driving examiner for ICBC and agrees that this is a great time of year to prepare drivers for the conditions.
If you know you're needing to stop ahead, obviously you should start braking a little bit sooner just in case the intersection's a little more slippery or leading into the intersection. as quick as you think your reactions are, there's always that reaction time till your foot gets on the brake and it actually gets applied and you can get the vehicle to stop, right, in these conditions. So.
LaRue adds that pre-vehicle inspections are just as important before heading out on the holidays.
Checking the tires, even the air pressure in your tires, if one is lower than the others or whatnot, it can certainly affect your traction and whatnot. So, and then of course just the general stuff, checking fluids and belts and all that kind of stuff too, right? So, and making sure you have an emergency kit would be a huge thing as well.
LaRue says it is important to remember the 3-second rule when driving behind other vehicles.
3 seconds is definitely, it kind of think of it as a minimum, especially out on the highway from a landmark. You know, in dry conditions, 2 seconds is usually sufficient, and then winter conditions, 3 seconds is a minimum. So, yeah.
And of course, always watch for black ice and slow down when approaching shaded areas such as bridges and overpasses, because these surfaces tend to freeze sooner than others. It is also a good idea to not use cruise control on highways, as the function has proven to be hazardous on icy roads.
I'm sure there would be a higher statistic rate for accidents this time of year, coming into the winter season, obviously, right? So,
some other things to keep in mind when on the road: you might want to try and avoid driving in stormy weather. You should use caution when approaching maintenance vehicles, and if you do get stuck in the snow, stay put in your vehicle to stay warm and don't panic. Lyndee Free, CJDC TV News, Dawson Creek. Great. That looks like all the time we have this evening. From all of us at CJDC TV News, have a great weekend.
We'll see you on Monday.